Morning, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to join us in honoring our mom's life. A special welcome to our family and relatives across the pond in both England and Scotland. A celebration of life seems most appropriate today, as our family has always enjoyed celebrating many events over the years. Music, a good game, and laughter is something we as a family have always cherished. Today, we will pay tribute to Mom's life by sharing what made her the person she was. A very special mother, grandmother, aunt, cousin, and dear friend. Mom brought joy to many people throughout her life in many thoughtful ways, and today we ask you to join us in song, laughter, and some tears as we reflect on her life's journey. So what we're going to do first is, there's a beautiful song called the Skyboat Song. It's a Scottish folk song, and it's about leaving the past behind and reflecting on life and a passage of time. A celebration of life that once was. So you have the lyrics in your brochure, and I'd like everyone to sing along as we sing the Skyboat Song, and you'll see with the lyrics that it is quite appropriate. You probably recognize it as the Outlander theme song as well. Sing me a song of a lass that is gone, safe at last behind. Mary of souls, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. It was a stand, Rome was on board, big on the starboard bow. Glory of youth glowed in her soul. Where is that glory now? Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Give me again all that was there. Give me the sun that shone. Give me the eyes, give me the soul. Give me the lust that's gone. Sing me a song of the lass that is gone. Say, could that lass be I? Mary of soul, she sailed on a day over the sea to sky. Willow and Thank you. I love everyone's voice, just saying. So now I'd like my son, Dusty, to pay a life tribute to my mom.
I hope Chester didn't drink out of that one. Okay. Janet D.L. Swan Hamilton, maiden name Donaldson, was born on September 18th, 1933 in Montrose, Scotland, the same birthplace as her mother. Her mother had traveled there from Inchinnan, Renfrewshire, Scotland, where she was raised, to have the child at her sister's house. Grandma was named after her Aunt Janet, the wife of Arthur Donaldson. Grandma was one of 4 children born to James Donaldson Sr. and, James Donaldson Sr. and Elizabeth Archibald. Up until July 31st of this year, the day of her passing, she was the last of a generation, as noted by her nephew, Andrew Donaldson. Her 2 brothers, Jim and Ronnie, had passed away in the last couple of years, and her sister, Barbara, predeceased her as an infant. Grandma was raised in the small village of Inchinnan, as her father worked for the India Tire Factory. You can see Inchinnan there on the screen, the lower yellow star, and then Montrose is up top. So her father worked at the India Tire and Rubber Company, known locally as India of Inchinnan. She lived at 22 Allens Avenue in a 1-bedroom house, and this was part of one of 2 phases of company housing that was built for its workers, just adjacent to the factory. And you can see it right there, Allens Avenue, and then India Drive is just perpendicular to that. Personally, I hope I never work that close or live that close to my work. As a child, she joined Brownies and eventually Girl Guides as a teen. During the summers, she would often travel back to Montrose, her place of birth, to visit her aunt and play on the vast sandy beaches along the Atlantic. Grandma was around 6 years old when the war started and remembers surviving the air raids. You can see her in that image. India Tire is just off to the bottom left of the screen, and then all the red is where all the bombs were dropped. So it's quite incredible that she survived that incident. She recalls playing over the summer holidays, hearing the siren sound, and having to run, grab her dolls, and head home. She spent many nights in the air raid shelters as the Germans attempted to bomb the River Clyde shipyards, which are shown there at Clydebank, located just about 2 kilometers away. She also recalled walking across the fields as a schoolgirl with her class to the River Clyde, where they watched the HMS Vanguard get launched, and that was one of the most significant battleships created in the UK at that time. Grandma's interest and talent in playing the fiddle stemmed from her father, who played the fiddle in the Works Orchestra at India Tire. He taught her to play around the age of 10 years old, and they would often play together. After a decades-long hiatus from playing, she picked up the fiddle and began playing once again, the same fiddle that she inherited from her father. She was able to play mostly by ear, picking up songs quickly after hearing them, a talent she often minimized, despite the great repertoire of songs that she was able to play, most of which she learned by ear. However, she did draw a blank when my niece, Sophia, asked her to play Taylor Swift. At the age of 13, the family qualified for a 2-bedroom house and moved around the corner to 9 India Drive, again located just beside the tire factory. Grandma attended elementary school in Inchinnan, at Inchinnan Public School for 7 years, then went to junior high in Renfrew, at Renfrew High School for 3 years, and subsequently she went to Camp Hill Secondary School in Paisley for her final 2 years, graduating 2 years early. I wish I knew the secret to that. She was also ambitious enough to take shorthand and typing classes after school in case she bombed out of school, as she would put it. Very proactive. She also won several awards at school for proficiency in languages. To anyone that knew her, this would come as no surprise, as she was very particular about grammar, wincing when someone mispronounced something or used the wrong word. She really should have been an English teacher. Her life was encircled with words. In fact, the day before she passed, she told the PSW she used to have a tremendous vocabulary, as she put it. After graduation from school, she went straight to work to help her family financially. She ended up working in the tech department at India Tires from 1950 to 1957, which is where she met my grandpa, Andrew Hamilton. During her time there, she played for the India Tires field hockey team as a goalie and was part of the company's drama club. Later, she obtained a secretary position with Michelin Sales to widen her experience. So Grandma and Grandpa got married in 1957. However, prior to this, there was a bit of a hiccup. Grandma told me that soon after her initial engagement with my grandpa, she found out at work that he'd been out the previous night dancing at the dance hall with his friends. And after a short discussion with her office mate, in which she swiftly said, "I wouldn't stand for it," she swiftly marched down to my grandpa's office and, without saying a word, took off her ring, set it on his desk, and walked out. Soon after that, she left India Tire and hadn't spoken to him. However, one evening, she serendipitously crossed paths with my grandpa on a bus, where they caught up with each other, and she told him that they're going to see a mutual friend of theirs. After arriving at her friend's house, her friend said, "I bet he'll come around." And sure enough, there was a knock on the door later that evening, and it was the one and only Andrew Hamilton. After they reconciled, they moved to Canada, and the rest is history. But up until that night, she was planning on moving to Vancouver, temporarily staying with friends who had already immigrated there. So if it wasn't for that chance meeting, a lot of us wouldn't be here today. Thank you, public transit. With Grandpa having been recruited by Mansfield Denman General Tire Company, they moved to Barrie in 1958. Grandma ended up working a few different jobs before her kids were born, as she saved money for the down payment on a house. I know one story she told me that I really liked was that she worked for CKVR TV briefly, where she recalled a studio performance by the Two Tones. And that's a duo comprised of Gordon Lightfoot and fellow musician Terry Whalen. And this was prior to Gordon Lightfoot pursuing his highly successful solo career as a legendary Canadian singer-songwriter. So I thought that was pretty cool because he would have been about 21 at that time. Continuing to save for the down payment for a house, Grandma also held a position at Agriculture Canada until the kids came on the scene. Over the next several years, Grandma gave birth to 3 children, Douglas, Allison, and Murray, to which she was a kind, caring, and devoted mother. She taught them good manners and had them do daily chores to establish a solid work ethic, which is evident to this day. She expressed a shared interest with her kids, taking Scottish country dancing at the YMCA with her daughter Allison, enrolling in an evening bookkeeping class at Georgian College with Douglas, and cheering Murray on during his many hockey games. She also regularly took them to swimming lessons. She really stepped up as a mother, since Grandpa was very busy at work, only having time on weekends to spend with the kids, taking them to Dairy Queen and St. Vincent Park, which she ended up taking me to later on. She sacrificed pursuing a lot of hobbies and interests as she was busy raising kids, devoting her life to this in her early years. She even took it upon herself to teach Allison the multiplication tables up to 12, as she was concerned that the teacher wasn't spending enough time giving the kids a proper education.
12 times 12 is 144.
See? It stuck, clearly. One of Murray's fondest childhood memories was related to when Grandma wanted to figure out where the kids were down the street. And instead of going out to look for them, she would just look out the window with Grandpa's .222 rifle and look down the scope just to see where the kids were at, which on occasion scared the postman half to death. She also taught her kids not to waste food, using the phrase, "waste not, want not." Leftovers were always wrapped up and put in the fridge, no matter how small. Speaking of food, Grandma was a fantastic cook. She loved cooking a variety of well-researched gourmet dishes for friends and family, with my personal favorite dish being her turkey noodle casserole. And then we won't forget the apple crumble she made for almost every occasion, and it was just as good as the first day I had it. Her kids were so grateful for all the hot meals that she served, with pudding for dessert, when they came home from school on their lunches. This appreciation was also shared by my grandpa, as he called Grandma from his desk at work most days during his lunch break, eating the sandwich that Grandma had made for him while simultaneously whipping up his hot breakfast before work. On Sundays, Grandma would also make Grandpa his favorite Creechy breakfast, and if the kids were up, they enjoyed it too. Well, except for the blood sausage, because that's an acquired taste. In an effort to further refine her cooking skills, she took some cooking classes at Georgian College. During a cordon bleu cooking course, she learned, among many things, to cook Brussels sprouts in a different way. To reduce their bitterness, a cross was cut in the stock before placing them into vigorously boiling water. As effective as this method was, Douglas wasn't sold on it. But this didn't change the fact that he had to eat every last Brussels sprout before he left the dinner table. Despite her love for cooking, she also enjoyed going out for a meal once in a while in her recent years. And she was often the main attraction as she joked around with servers and talked about her Scottish heritage. Some of her favorite places to go were the Italian eatery in Barrie, where she'd order the veal parm and a cappuccino. After claiming she was full, my mom would always say, "I don't suppose you have any room for cannoli for dessert then, do you?" And she would reply, "Oh, yes." She loved those cannolis. She'd also go to Deb's for breakfast with Murray, and she ate like a horse, he would say. Strong appetite. She also loved a nice A&W burger every once in a while, and then Wendy's salads were always a hit for a light lunch. Grandma was fortunate enough to travel around the world, both for leisure and accompanying my grandpa on business trips to Europe. Some destinations included Rome and Milan, Italy, Paris, France, Zurich, Switzerland, Scotland, of course, England, Sweden, Florida, Mexico, Barbados, Hawaii, New Zealand, where they went twice because they liked it so much. And even after Grandpa passed, she continued to travel, taking some seniors tours, going solo overseas to Spain and doing a Panama River cruise. Speaking of Grandpa, my grandma played a major role in caregiving for him up until his final days, again illustrating her unwavering commitment to her family. After Grandpa was gone, she continued to live at 90 Dean Avenue, where she fully embraced the condo lifestyle, socializing with others in her building, playing Quiddler, playing violin with her music group every Wednesday, and volunteering during church service, coffee chats, and bingo. In the latter, the jackpot would reach almost 25 cents. She started getting her hair done every Friday and going for a perm every 3 months, doing something for herself finally. Despite living in Canada for over 50 years, she retained her Scottish accent. When she started talking with another Scot, her Scottish burr would ramp right up, particularly when she talked to wee Margaret, her childhood friend from Scotland. She would always share many Scottish expressions that her mother used to use and explain the meaning and history behind them. In the last few years, she became the Toronto Blue Jays' #1 fan, watching every game that was available on her basic cable package. Talking on the phone with her, she'd always talk about all the action happening in the games and referring to the players by their individual names, such as Vladdy. For her 90th birthday, Doug got her a Blue Jays jersey with the number 90 and Donaldson on the back. She proudly put this on, showing off her muscles like Popeye. For the same birthday, my mom inadvertently ordered a Lululemon outfit that ended up coming with a shirt that was a crop top with a plunging neckline. Like complete accident, or she says it is anyway. Could have been for comedy. But Grandma held it up and she said, "You gotta be kidding." Christmases were a blast as well. Over the last few years, she wore a matching red pants and jacket that she called the Santa suit. So we gave her a Santa hat to go with it. And our niece Sophia fondly called her Mrs. Claus. She played Christmas carols for us on her violin, and we would all sing along. She also played with her music group at annual Christmas concerts in her building. She was like a kid when opening gifts, as she had very little as a child for Christmas, which is very nice to see. Grandma is best described as kind, clever, witty, compassionate, and loyal, always willing to share a joke, or conversely, enjoyed hearing them for a laugh. She had a real zest for life. She was a walking dictionary and a calculator all in one, which was an enviable trait. She was a warm-hearted woman, always engaging in social activities and volunteering. She had a great sense of humor, always laughing. She also enjoyed a wee glass of sherry on occasion. In her spare time, she was a master of crosswords. She loved crime novels. She was an amazing woman who never gave herself enough credit for all her knowledge, skills, and abilities. In the past few months, I think she started losing her filter a bit. She would start breaking out into song all of a sudden when triggered by a certain word or if a tune popped into her head. She didn't have much of an appetite towards the end, but if you served her ice cream, it was gone in what seemed like a matter of seconds. Grandma died peacefully, her way, at her condo, surrounded by family. Up until that point, she was a fiercely independent, hardy Scottish woman, determined to do everything on her own for as long as she could, and she did. We were blessed to have her until the age of 90. A big thanks to all of her friends for their love and support over the years and for being a valuable part of her life. We miss you already, and we are so grateful that we had so many eventful years with you. Out of the mouth of Baves, Sophia, my niece, said it best. I wish we had a time machine to turn back time so we could have more time with her. Give Grandpa, Matt, and Bear a big hug for us. We all love you and miss you so much.
So our piper is just going to play Flower of Scotland, and just feel free to reflect about my mum as you listen to this song. Thank you, Johan. Now we'd like to have some family personal reflection, so I'd like to ask my niece Sabrina to come up. She'd like to say a few words.
Hello, everyone. I've only known Grandma for about 20 years, which is not a long time compared to a lot of other people in this room. But even with that in mind, I was able to create some lasting memories with her. It was always nice to visit Grandma, as we had some very wonderful conversations. I really enjoyed always sitting in her living room in her condo with the beautiful sunshine shining through the window while sitting there with Dad and other family members, sharing stories and always having a laugh. Even for Grandma's old age, I was always amazed by her ability to keep her mind sharp. And also even being able to play the fiddle by ear, which was always one of the greatest things I thought was very incredible about Grandma. I didn't get to hear her play that much, but I really enjoyed listening when I got the chance. One of my most strong memories is Grandma's love for classical music. Every time we would sit down for dinner, she always liked listening or turning on some music through her stereo, which I thought was always very nice. And her memory of all of them was quite amazing to me. One of my most prolific memories of Grandma was always when we were leaving to head home after an event or getting together. Grandma had this bowl of potpourri, and I always took a little piece every time I left, and she always found it so interesting that I always wanted to take some home with me. As we all know, Grandma was a huge fan of the Blue Jays, and we saw that earlier with the jersey my dad had got her for her 90th birthday. I remember her always talking about what was going on and all the games that she was watching every time I spoke with her on the phone or even in person. She even got to share a few of her earlier memories with me. I remember not too long ago she took out her photo album and was showing me pictures of her and Grandpa when they were younger in Scotland and photos of Dad when he was little, and it was really nice to be able to speak with her about those and have her share her stories with me. But most importantly, she raised my dad. Without him, I wouldn't be here today. Sorry. It's okay. I think being a mother is one of the most beautiful things that life can offer. And with her, she taught my father to be the person he is today. And for that, I can't thank her enough. Parents and grandparents play such an important roles in people's lives. So we must always remember to cherish the people that are around and to spend as much time as you can with them when you can. So you never know when they can be taken from us. Thank you for being you, Grandma, and may you rest in peace.
Okay, let's see if I can do this. So I would like to say something also, and then my brother Doug will speak. Excuse me. This kind of popped into my head just the other day, and because I thought, what can I say about my mom? And I thought, I know what I can say. I can say lessons learned from my mom, because my mom taught me many things over the years. And having my mom live until she was 90 was really a gift. She had a good long life, and I had time to appreciate who she was and what she was teaching me all those years. So some of the things I learned from my mom: how to make the best scrambled eggs, nice and fluffy, no dry eggs, she would say when I offered to make her breakfast one morning recently. Not too dry, she would say in her Scottish accent. How to make mince in the pot, and that's a Scottish thing that nobody probably knows what I'm talking about, but it's like ground beef, and it's got some carrots and onions in it, and it's got a bit of like Bovril gravy in it, and it's, she would say, nice and sappy, and you'd have it with mashed potatoes. How to make the best apple crumble, which Dusty mentioned. That was, we never called it apple crisp because it was crumble to us. And this was a Christmas tradition. Every year we would have apple crumble with our Christmas dinner. And the secret was you use your hands and you melt, or like you have that soft butter, and you blend in the sugar and the oats and everything together and the flour, and it makes a perfect crumbly topping, and then you just kind of sprinkle it over your apples, and it was good. We loved it, and that will continue on. She also taught me how to make other Christmas baking, including nut sticks, thimble cookies, cherry cookies, and mincemeat tarts, all from scratch. But sometimes our cookie monster, Dusty, would request those yummy cherry cookies at other times of year. And Grandma would quickly whip them up and give him a tin, and they'd be gone by the time he reached North Bay, and that was the 2.5-hour drive. They were all gone. And Gabby didn't get any. So she also made in the fall pumpkin chocolate chip cookies, and honestly, they never lasted long. They were absolutely delicious, and we would just hoover them when we went to her place. She also loved making a pineapple zucchini loaf. It was nice and moist, and she would whip that up if she knew someone was coming to visit her. It's like she was baking right away, so we could have something with our coffee or tea. And honestly, these recipes will continue to be a tradition in my kitchen, and I will definitely have fond memories of my mom as I make these. And if you haven't figured it out yet, there's a bit of a theme going on here with sweet things, because Mom really had a big sweet tooth. And as Dusty mentioned, like, she'd eat her meal and say, oh, I'm full. And then you'd say, well, what about some ice cream? And she'd go, oh, yes, like right away. And she would just eat that so quickly. So needless to say, her diabetes really cramped her style. But I have to say, like, some of the best things that I've learned from my mom are not food related, thankfully. One thing is being a good listener. She taught me how to be a great listener, as she would sit and listen as I shared many things throughout life, and she would simply just sit there and listen. Then she would make a wonderfully supportive comment, and then she might pause and then come out with some one-line zinger that would make me laugh, and it would just lighten up the whole situation. And I thank you, Mom, for this. You were the best support person anyone could have asked for. A sense of humor, and everyone who knew my mom knew she had a great wit and great sense of humor, and never a conversation would go by without my mom making a joke or singing a funny song. This brought so much joy to my life. We talked every day on the phone and always laughed about something. Some jokes or songs were rather colorful, I would say, when her filter was starting to go, but that just made it even more funny. In the world today, I think more people could appreciate that a sense of humor and a good laugh makes everything seem so much better, and even in trying times. We joked around a lot, even when she was starting to decline. When I was helping Mom with her care, when she was confused, I would say, Mom, 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 look at me, look at me, look at me, to try and get her attention. And she would just then flip her head at me with wide eyes and a big Cheshire cat grin, and I would just rub noses with her, and we'd start laughing. She still had her sense of humor, even as she became quite ill, quite fast. She taught me about unconditional love. She always loved unconditionally and accepted me for who I am. I mean, she did have some interesting nicknames for all of us kids, or words that described our unique characteristics or behavior, and that she would comment on once in a while. I can share a few of mine. I don't know if my brothers want me to say what theirs were, but they can share that if they feel so inclined. So one thing she always used to say to me when we were talking about all kinds of things, she'd say that I got the you-know-whats in the family. You can use your imagination there. And she wasn't referring to brains. As she saw my fearlessness, and like Mom, I would not take any nonsense from anyone. She also called me Bossy Knickers, which came from my dad, I think, originally, but we would joke around about that, and they also called me Dee Dee for darling daughter. So these things will stick with me for sure. And I was a bit embarrassed when I took her to the doctor recently, and she blurted out, because this is the filter starting to go, that, yeah, we call her Bossy Knickers. Allison's got everything organized for me. And I was like, oh my God, I went beet red. So thanks, Mom, for embarrassing me. And then another thing my mom taught me was how to be a forever friend. She showed me how important it is to be in regular contact with your friends in their world, to enjoy funny conversations, as well as sharing life stories and great memories. She taught me this valuable lesson and the fact that you don't need a lot of friends, you just need a few really, really close ones, and that she had. Strength and determination. I've learned how to stay strong through difficult times and how to be independent with many things in life. She showed me how to ride that wave of life and to keep going and never give up. Interestingly, our Hamilton Scottish clan tartan motto says simply one word, through. And this is what she did and what she taught me to do. I'm getting goosebumps. Thank you, Mom, for everything over the years. I will miss our daily chats and our belly laughs, spa pampering evenings, and the sound of your violin. It was with love and respect that I helped care for you when you became ill and to ensure you got your end of life wish. Love you always and forever, Mom. I will see you down the road. My brother Doug now will say a few words.
Thanks, everyone, for coming. It's nice to see you all today. Last week, I was sitting down and just trying to think about what I could say about Mom, and that old phrase, ashes to ashes, dust to dust, popped into my head. And then I kind of wanted to pay tribute to Mom's vocabulary and her personality. And she liked a good joke, and especially if it was a rhyming one. So here it is. ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Before you said yes, Andrew was well sussed. 3 Waynes came into your world through love and lust. You always had our backs, and that we could trust. Your care for us never showed rust. You recognized insincerity, mistrust, and these were cussed. Over you, you preferred not to be fussed. To all that knew you, you were very august. For 90 years, you were quite robust. You had a wonderful life, but come to an end, all things must. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Damn it, Mom, I love you.
He's a poet and didn't know it. Great. Thank you, Doug. Okay, so now we're going to have the Piper play Mulligan-Tyre. And I'm sure you've heard it many times. It's a Paul McCartney and Wings song about an area in Scotland called the Mulligan-Tyre. And it's an ode to the natural beauty and sense of home in this area of Scotland. So feel free to sing along. Most of you probably know the words, but I gave you the lyrics. Okay. Mist rolling in from the sea, I desire is always to be here, oh Mulligan-Tyre. I traveled much the scene, dark distant mountains, valleys of green, past painted deserts, the sun sets on fire as he carries me home to the Mulligan-Tyre. Mulligan-Tyre, oh mist rolling in from the sea. My desire is always to be here, oh Mulligan-Tyre. Sweep through the heather like deer in the glen, carry me back to the days I knew then, when you sang like a heavenly choir, oh the life and the times of Mulligan-Tyre. Mulligan-Tyre, oh mist rolling in from the sea, I desire is always to be here, oh Mulligan-Tyre. Some sunshine and tears in the rain still take me back to where my memories remain. Flickering embers grow higher and higher as they carry me back to the Mulligan-Tyre. Mulligan-Tyre, oh mist rolling in from the sea. My desire is always to be here, oh Mulligan-Tyre. Mulligan-Tyre, oh mist rolling in from the sea. Desire is always to be here, oh Mulligan-Tyre. Thank you. Okay. So again, I would just like to thank everyone for joining us today. And I would like you to please continue to honor my mom in whatever way that you choose. Maybe it's eating great food. Maybe it's telling a good joke, having a good laugh. listening to violin music, or just simply being kind to someone in a thoughtful way. May her memory live on. So hold on a second. Please. What we're going to do right now is we're just going to have a little bit of a quiet time of reflection, listening to a beautiful Scottish song called Going Home. It's a wonderful message of returning home to your birth country, and Dusty's going to play it now for us. And at the end of this song, the piper is going to pipe us out of the chapel, and you're welcome to join us in the lounge downstairs for a lovely reception. Yeah, we brought our guard dog with us.